What's going on, YouTube? This is Squids. How's everybody doing today? I wanted to kind of just dive right into this because I didn't look super hard on the YouTubes, but I hadn't really seen any reviews or talking about just the manga for Summertime Rendering at all, and it's been out for a while. I recently, what was it, about a month and a half ago, purchased the 2 box sets from Barnes & Noble, and I was like, I read manga and light novels, I do, and I just haven't really gotten around to it. So I was like, you know what, let's review some manga, because I talked a little bit about Summertime Rendering while it was airing on my channel. Huge fan of the psychological mystery vibe things, and I want to see if there was much of a difference between the manga and the actual show. And so with that all being said and out of the way, let's jump right into this manga, huh? Right. So the way I figured I would do this is I figured I would divide this by each book. Now, the way Barnes & Noble did it, from what I kind of think, if I understand correctly, is they put 2 to 3 actual volumes of the manga into these like big ginormous freaking books, because I know this one covers Drifting Ashore and Vortex, and that is the one I'm going to be covering right from the bat. And also, by the way, I know that I've seen reviews on this part at least, but these Barnes & Noble box set editions are actually pretty spiffy. You get the nice beautiful colored designs on the outside, and then you get a little, like almost a little poster in the back of it, which is really neat. And then afterwards, I'm assuming that's in the other versions, not just the Barnes & Noble manga split, but you also get these nice little memos and like afterward things from the manga author, and it's kind of neat just to read that. And then on top of it, honestly, it's got this, like, the first few pages, which I know some mangas do, but the first few pages are totally in color. It's a very solid release, and I would definitely recommend checking them out if you haven't, or even buying them, because realistically, for buying all of these 6 volumes, I think it was like, at least in where I am from, $110, $115. Excuse me. And it's totally worth it, because you can go reread it again. You've got the physical copy, and I'm a big sucker for physical copies, so you can't go wrong with that. But for differences versus the manga and the anime, at least these first 2 volumes, I didn't notice too much, if really any. I think there might have been a couple slight differences, but obviously when you're adapting like an actual manga into anime, sometimes you gotta cut some things or edit things, just so the flow's a little better. But I really can't complain that the way that Tanaka Yasuki wrote the series, obviously, in that fact that it was like not obviously like a first person there thing, because obviously but the fact that he grew up on the island, and it's almost as if he's Shinpei and at the same time Minakata or Hizuru, but it's almost like he could be both perspectives, considering the fact that he wrote the series and lives in Tokyo, but moved out of the island, I guess, specifically, but also like Shinpei lives in Tokyo. It's really cool. It almost makes you wonder if like some of this is actually, obviously not true, because it's but it almost makes you wonder some aspects of it. And I know there was a few parts that I really captured along as I was going along. One of them especially being the very first flashback that we have of Shinpei and Ushio when he gives her the shell on her birthday. That was one of the first panels where I was like, this is gonna be freaking great. It didn't even take long to get to that panel, obviously, because it's not very far into the story, but just the way that like they boxed it out, and we got to see all that emotion from Shinpei right away off the bat, crying with that necklace in there, and the way that they got to panel it out was just honestly breathtakingly amazing. I am a big fan of like just kind of seeing the way that a lot of manga artists panel their shit, because that makes the hugest difference on how somebody interprets things or reads things. Specifically, I guess more or less just kind of the flow of things and the creativity and the way he did this. It's not exactly 100% original, no, but just the way it's adapted, it really makes it stick out to me. And then after that, I guess the next part that really stuck out to me is the first time we meet Tetsu while he's at the cafe, just kind of chilling there, wondering what the hell's going on, like in the anime. And we come to find out that he's totally just watching porn at the cafe in the morning. Absolutely freaking hilarious. And just the way that Shinpei just kind of is like, yo, dude, I ain't serving your ass watching porn. Is that the usual police routine? It's so freaking great. It gets you a good laugh. And pretty much going from there, the next like actual written, drawn out manga panel that really stuck out to me in this first book is the scene where we get to see Hizuru get murdered from Mio's shadow right off the bat. And just the way that they draw each and every panel so intensively and in depth, and the way that we got to see actual Shadow Mio holding, the regular Mio in that panel just gives us, you could feel the suspense and agony in each freaking panel. And especially when we get to the point where, Mio gets shot right off the bat, and then right after that, Shinpei he gets shot, and it's just gruesome. Especially being paneled out like that, you can see the pain in their faces and everything that goes along with that. I almost prefer, in some ways, they both have their peaks, but like not manga adaptations, but just manga paneling versus the manga adaptation or the anime is the way that you can get different media, art mediums out of each, and it's so hard to explain, but just being able to capture both, they both have their place, obviously. And I'm one of those people who reads, it depends on the series. Sometimes I read the manga or the light novel first, sometimes I'll watch the anime first and come back, but no matter what, I always enjoy doing both and looking at the discrepancies and just the way that it's, adapted from the original artist or the anime studio. It's a passion project a lot of the time for both of them. So just seeing how things go on the page and then visually on the screen is really cool. And right after that, we get to see the next page that really stuck out to me in this manga was when Tetsu gets stabbed by Shadow Mio. You get to see just the amount of time she stabs him and how quick, and his face in agony, along with Shinpei, observing this from the darkness. It really brings out that chaotic, dark shadow feeling and the utter gloominess and just utter like slime crawling down you. It feels so raw and disgusting, but at the same time, it looks so good. It makes you feel like, oh my god, this is freaking awesome. But I get way too in depth over this crap. Now, right after that, we had like a double panel that really piqued my interest. And that was right when we kind of get to see Hizuru and both, obviously, her sides, because I'm assuming, Ryusuke as well. If you're watching this, you've probably read it or seen the anime. But we get to see those two pretty much just kind of chatting with each other out in the woods. And I found it really interesting, especially here versus the anime, where I don't remember if this exact scene was in the anime, but it's really kind of neat how she's spying on the funeral and kind of taking everything in right when she gets to the island before any of this happens. Obviously, future reading on, what's going to go down, but as a reader, especially one that hasn't, gone through this series, you're kind of questioning yourself, like, is she schizophrenic? Is, like, what's wrong with this? Who's she talking to? And it's really, I enjoyed the living piss out of that. Especially just, like, seeing the both of them talking to each other, especially, because Ryusuke is a huge pillar in the future, along, obviously, with Hizuru, but that introduction to those two, besides the slap to the face, is a pretty good one. Especially with how innocent, Ryusuke is, and the two of them, their chemistry, it's freaking epic. The next chapter that really got to me was one, or I guess panel, not chapter, is I believe in the second book, Vortex. And this is when Shinpei goes to check out the Super 8. I think I can't remember what the name of the actual store is called. But we get to see a shadow for the first time. And the way that they draw shadows in this is actually really kind of neat. You get these, like, they're almost like, at least right now, they're almost like an outline with a little shading and this white vortexy feel to it, which I'm assuming is just so you can kind of see through them. I'm assuming they're just pitch black, but it's really neat. Like, it's a little different than the anime, and I really dig that. And then on top of it, we get these like pixel out eyes, kind of like they did in the anime, how they just like fade away. They do that sometimes with some of the text. There's the eyeballs or anything like that, and I find that little minute detail to be something that's like really cool, because, you know, he didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do anything, but the fact that he did that just to give you like a little guess what, it's really neat. I find little details like that freaking amazing. And right after that, the next panel that really took me away was right before, actually no, that was still, I believe, in the first one. Vortex starts after this reference. That is correct, because it's actually a pretty long first volume. I mean, we're talking like, I think it was 100 and, I'm trying to think how many freaking pages it was. 100 and 150, 160. No, it was almost 200 freaking pages. That was a long volume. However, right before this volume ends, we get this 2-page full-on view of Ushio in the fireworks and just the water around her, which is also a very iconic scene from the anime. So I know that everybody's pretty much seen it. However, seeing it drawn on two pages is just absolutely gorgeous and breathtaking to take in. And like right after that, we get, you know, Ushio admitting her love for Shinpei, and obviously it's the shadow one. But however, just, you know, the face she gives with the fireworks in the background, it hit me just as much as it hit me when I watched the anime. And of course, it always hits harder at the end, but just even that first initial, after all that heartbreak we've been through and everything that, like, we've been trying to in this short amount of time to figure out the clues, to get to what happened, it's still that much of a connection, even though we don't even know her really at all. It's heartbreaking for sure. And then right after that, the next one that I kind of had marked down as a really awesome, significant block of the manga was the time where Shinpei, it's at the actual ceremony, and he finds Shadow Mio before, you know, they come and take and kill him. The panels of his absolute fear while being just taken down by Mio, and finding out that he actually has a shadow clone of himself as well while trying to protect the real Mio, and the shadow Ushio, and figuring out what to do with that. There are so many great panels in this part. Like, it is absolutely amazing, between Shadow Mio's killer face and Shinpei's just utter despair and disgust on top of it, knowing that he's already failed the second time around, or third time around. Has so much depth to it. It is just absolutely breathtaking. And I guess the last one that I really had marked off from these two chapters is when we get to see the full-blown version of Shideko, the big shadow that, you know, Heine's, yeah, her little son. We get to see him for the first time, and it is actually really cool, because unlike in the anime, it's almost as if he's two different entities, because obviously in the anime he had 4 arms and everything, but in the manga it's for the same, pretty much the same physique, but we also have a female body inside as well, because there is some boobs. So obviously I won't be able to exactly show that on YouTube, but it's really neat. And just that like minuscule detail of like the two bodies in one is really cool. Like, I really dig it. I'm sorry if you hear the book and the manga moving back and forth as well, because I am also trying to like look at my bookmarks as well as do this. But honestly, the first 2 volumes, Vortex and gosh, I'm spacing out here. Vortex and Drifting Ashore, highly recommend it. I'm going to be covering, obviously, all 6 or 12, depending on how you look at it. But all of these Barnes & Noble editions of Summertime Rendering. And I will be discussing it with y'all once a week. Because it gives me something to do once a week. And then on top of it, why not, right? Get everybody to read the actual series and maybe even watch it, because I know with the Western audience, it didn't drop until what I want to say, like 3-4 months ago on stupid Disney Plus. Which, whatever. We're not gonna get into the Summertime Rendering Disney Plus debate, but with that being said, I'm very happy with this manga so far. The anime did great, and I really hope everybody goes out and reads this. But with that being all said and done, I thanks everybody for listening, because this is my first manga review, and this is going to be kind of tough for me figuring out a formula. But I thank you if you stuck around this long. It'd mean a lot to me if you could leave a thumbs up. I like that guy. And if you're feeling really generous, hey, I wouldn't mind if you guys left a sub. You can keep up to date when I keep uploading these videos, any videos that I do. But with that being said and out of the way yet again, this has been Squids, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. We will see everybody in the next one. Peace.